All right. We are live, everyone, for the Georgia Tech postgame show. Georgia Tech gets a huge win over Wake Forest tonight. What are your thoughts?
Dude, the Jackets come out tonight. I couldn't be happier. I'm over the moon. We come out and get a win over a good team. How about that? I mean, when's the last legitimately good team that we've beat? I guess you could say you could say North Carolina last year, although I was kind of thinking more along the lines of in kind of the Jeff Collins era. The last 4 years have been a rough 4 years, and this feels like a very good statement when, obviously you start out the season rough 1-2, and this kind of says, hey, we're here to stay. Like, we're not laying down. We're not just some crappy football team the teams of old, of Jeff Collins,
Right.
that just roll up in there and you can expect to just get an easy win. Those days are over. We're a competitive team, and if you don't expect us to come in there and give you a fight, we're going to punch you in the mouth, which I think is what happened in the first quarter.
Well, yeah, 5 turnovers, 8 sacks.
Yeah.
I mean, the defense showed up tonight. But here's what was so tough about this game is coming out of the second half, it felt too familiar to Louisville and even being very flat against Ole Miss. We let Wake start rallying. They started coming back. But the difference is the defense. The defense stepped up a clutch interception when they're going to tie that ball game up. I mean, I couldn't be happier with how the defense played tonight.
I agree, dude. I mean, that's really the story of the night, because where have these guys been? This is a completely alien, like, new look to this defense. Like, we have not seen this up until this point. It's crazy. Like, the improvement that we've seen from the first 3 weeks, it was unrecognizable. I mean, like you said, 8 sacks. We had 1 sack in the first 3 games. 1. That's including against an FCS team. So, the defensive line, I mean, they really stepped up. I mean, they were almost non-existent, didn't influence the game whatsoever. In this game, they controlled. They were a huge part of why we were able to win this game. Just goes to show you, I guess, you're going to win games when you play both offense and defense.
Yeah.
So I think we also had not even just the D line getting sacks and turnovers and stuff, but we also had Braylon Oliver and that linebacker. He's been hurt up until this game, I guess. Either that or he hadn't been able to crack the depth chart. He showed promise in the SC State game, but then came in tonight, and I feel like he did a really good job.
Yeah, he did a really good job stopping their run, because they are very efficient at how they run the ball and kind of this weird, handoff that takes forever to do. And look, they were able to gash us a few times, but I felt like defensively we bent at times, but we didn't break.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Dang it, when we needed a play on defense, we came through and made a play on defense.
Absolutely, we did. And look no further than the pick at the end.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was huge.
Yeah, it was. The turnover. I mean, how many turnovers did they wind up with? 8?
They had
five turnovers and 8. It was 8 sacks. So yeah, I mean, the turnovers really is what won the game. Now, we can gush and everything about how good we look, but there was also a lot to be concerned about still. But like you said, I like it was bend don't break. I think what we really need to look at is kind of our third quarter performance, right?
Yeah.
When you're looking at the negative side of it, we played a great first and second quarter. Come out in the third quarter, our offense is, we put up no points on offense in the third quarter, and defense gives up a touchdown.
Yeah.
So happy with the defense there, but happy with the defense all game. I mean, you give up 16 points. Give up 16 points to the Clawfence the whole game. That's a good game on defense. I was just hoping for more out of our offense, and it's that third quarter. And I would have to go look at this. This is kind of like advanced stat stuff, but obviously the Louisville third quarter was not good either. And then the Ole Miss game, I remember we came out, we got the ball back in the from the half in the Wake Forest game, and that didn't we weren't able to do anything with that. I feel like we're very flat on offense in the third quarter, and that's something that we really got to look at, because like I was saying during the game, like this is laying the groundwork for the upset, and we surely did.
Yes.
They almost came back on, so it was a freaking heart attack,
I'll be honest. I feel like as far as a complete game, the defense played better.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, they consistently made plays all night, and we had another game where the offense played really, really well in the first half. And listen to some of these stats. We got outgained tonight by 6 yards.
Wow.
Wake Forest had 386 total yards. We had 380.
That's the turnovers.
Yeah.
That's the turnovers.
With 5 turnovers, that would explain that. They had 162 passing yards. They struggled to throw the ball tonight, but that's a credit to our defense. He didn't have a lot of time to throw.
Yeah. Actually got pressure. I mean, a lot of people, the knock on our defense or whatever on Andrew Thacker last year was, we got a lot of turnovers. You can't count on turnovers, but that stuff's coached. It's not like we got them by accident.
You get them by making plays. Yeah. Like a lot of times people be like, they had 5 turnovers. Y'all got lucky. No, we made plays on defense.
Well, you can see when they tackle. It was very obvious to me in the Louisville game, especially. You can see them when our defense tackles, they rip at the ball and try to rip it out. And, heads up by our safeties there. We had a couple interceptions. Kenan Johnson had an interception, and then Jalen King at the end there.
Yeah.
Had the interception to pretty much, the game was already iced, but the most of the turnovers, the 3 of them came from sacks and fumbles.
Yes.
Which I will say, Mitch Griffiths is not the best quarterback. Definitely a huge step down from Sam Hartman.
Yeah. If Sam Hartman's quarterbacking them, they win that game. Probably pretty handedly.
Well, Sam Hartman did turn the ball over a ton of times last year. That's really why he transferred. Sam Hartman, while he was at Wake Forest, didn't have the best. So, it could go the other way too. But I remember one game last year, he turned it over like 7 times.
Dang.
He threw so many picks. It was crazy. But no, I feel like I just wish we could come out and control a game from start to finish. Like in the first half, we dominated. But like I said, in the third quarter, we let them come back. And the score 30-16 kind of doesn't tell the story of just how close it was.
Mm-hmm.
They were knocking on the door of tying it up and going and taking it into overtime. And I have no doubt in my mind, if that went into overtime, we would have lost, because they had looked way better on offense, than us. Our offense was completely just anemic in the second half. We got a field goal. Really in non-garbage time, because once we picked it off, it kind of became garbage time.
Yeah, totally agree. Just looking through the comments, LSU stream has 46,000. Yeah, I guess they got beat tonight then.
LSU what? Oh, their stream on Mark Rogers' channel?
I bet.
46,000 people? We're small fries over here. Well, we appreciate all of you for tuning in.
Jay Barg, I guess you're a Wake Forest fan, said he held – I'm not sure. He also held the ball forever, allowing our rush to get home. Oh, you're a tech
Well,
guy.
Again, why was he holding the ball forever? It's because we had good coverage. We had good coverage and good pressure on the deal. That makes for a great night. And I wonder why we couldn't, do that the first 3 weeks. My only guess is we played better teams.
Yeah.
But maybe something clicked tonight. I'm hoping that we can carry this momentum. We got Bowling Green next week, kind of a resting game before we got a big game against Miami.
Yeah, with Miami coming off of a bye. Now, here's the thing that's a new problem that is going to get you beat more often than not.
Oh, my God, dude.
How many yards and penalties?
Penalties. It was over 100 yards and penalties, which is insane. We had 11 penalties tonight, which is more than double. 12? 13, 14, 14 penalties
for 142 yards.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it is killer. And they came at the absolute worst time. And this is completely alien to us because we had 5 penalties coming into this game. That was the least in the country.
Yeah.
And we almost tripled that in one game. All the penalties we had throughout our first 3 games. That was something that was also unrecognizable. I really hope that's like.
And they usually came on third down. We're 3rd and 2. We're rolling, and then we hit a big play, or we convert, and then holding offside, something like this.
I can only count one of those plays that was just absolutely egregious and like not our fault,
right?
Which was which was one of the most important ones, was the PI that we got on a big 3rd down. But those other penalties, like, where did this come from? How do you go from being the least penalized team in the country to getting 14 in one game for 140 yards?
The only thing I can figure is maybe the message was at practice, hey, we need to be more aggressive. You need to get to your spot faster.
Right. And I mean, I mean, maybe that's it. We had a few on offense too that were a little bit uncharacteristic. I'm assuming most of them were on defense. We'd have to look at that, right? I'll filibuster while you look that up.
I don't know if it breaks penalties down by offense
and defense. If I had to guess, to me, it felt like more of them were on the defense. We had a couple false starts, but I think that was it, right? I think that was it. So
now Haynes King was 16 of 27 tonight, so he didn't necessarily have his best night tonight. 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception.
So he breaks 1,000 yards on the season.
Yep, he had what, 910?
910 coming in.
So he'll have.
Although he did throw one just awful interception, which is really the first interception. He had one other one, but it wasn't really his fault in the first game. And so he does get his first kind of interception that's just like really egregious. In the beginning of the game, they were dropping back and taking these long bomb throws, which is something that we did not do against Ole Miss, and I feel like we didn't do a ton against Louisville. Our offense really, the strength was not taking these long bombs. I can only think of one, which was that pass to Singleton, because he was just wide open, and you got to take that. That was last week. But other than that, I can't think of anything. The most of our big chunk plays have been where our guys broke off. Our offensive line has a big hole. Our running back runs through, or we dump it off and get blockers, and they take off for a huge run. That's kind of where most of our chunk plays have come from this season. So we come out and try to throw these long bombs this game, and it ends up in an interception, and we didn't see any more that night.
No, he took a shot. It didn't work out, and he said, "Okay, I'm going to back off."
We did it twice, right? So the first time it was not a good throw, and it was thrown into double coverage, and he tries to get to Singleton. Singleton is clearly his favorite target.
Yes.
But yeah,
who was our leading receiver tonight with 50 yards, and actually Haynes King was our second leading rusher with 50.
Really? Yeah.
Jamal Haynes had 95 yards. I think 441W has a good comment here. He says, we played a lot more aggressive and undisciplined tonight, whereas we played more passive but disciplined previously.
Yes.
We got to find a sustainable middle ground.
Yes. Yeah, because this was way too close for comfort. Way too close for comfort. Love the turnovers, love the sacks, but if that's at the cost of 14 penalties for 140 yards, I don't know if that's worth it.
Well, I think I agree with him. Like, you got to have a middle ground there.
Because like you said, there were so many clutch sacks and clutch turnovers, but there's also so many clutch penalties.
Yeah, that sustained drives for them, that killed drives for us.
Yeah, great comment. Yeah, you're right on.
Oh, I forget because I use OBS a lot. We can put that up on the screen.
Yeah, that's a great comment. You're spot on. I wonder what direction they take, because Key gets bothered every week. Sacks. When are we going to get some sacks? When are we going to get pressure? I mean, obviously, you can't have your guys stood up on every play like that. Like, in the Ole Miss game, it was ridiculous. They got stood up on every play. Absolutely, Jackson Dart had all day to throw, and then if he wanted to take off for a huge run, like, that's not acceptable. But I mean, do you really have to? do you really have to commit 100 million penalties to make up for that? Yeah,
no.
Right. There's got to be some kind of middle
Now,
ground.
I'm glad you brought up getting stood up, because I can tell you from what I saw watching the game tonight, that didn't happen at all. We were driving out low. We were pushing the offensive line back.
The pocket was closing, and several times it collapsed in on him.
Yes.
Love to see that. And he escaped a couple times, but we would always get a handout. We would always trip him up, rattle him. And that's a young quarterback. So, I mean, it's definitely a step back from Sam Hartman. But against a more experienced quarterback or some better teams, I could see us losing this game, like you said.
For sure. The only thing I saw on defense that I think can be problematic is we got reached a lot on the end. What do I mean by reaching? So if the ball is going this way, anytime you let the guy get here on you and the ball's coming this way, he's got no chance. You can't let the guy get outside of you like that. So we got to do a little bit better job on the defensive end. Mr. Rogers says, seems to me we coach to be aggressive. Yeah, that was kind of my takeaway, and it resulted in some penalties.
Now, what I did like was, this obviously storyline kind of this night was we come out of halftime with the lead, obviously, and we've been here before this year against Louisville, and we were talking about it at halftime, like, please don't let them come back. Well, we did let Louisville come back, and like you said, here we bent but didn't break, and it didn't feel like it felt like in the Louisville game we just got absolutely outplayed, and we didn't have as much effort. But this time, it felt like the comeback was for a different reason. This is just my feel, but It felt like we didn't it felt like in the Louisville game, like Jalen King even admitted this in the post-game press conference. He said, well, we thought we had it won. We didn't come out playing as hard as we could have. I didn't feel like that happened this game. I feel like they made some adjustments, and that was kind of what like you said, this is a new coaching staff. They're still learning stuff. Dave Clawson, obviously, huge amount of respect. I've said this all week. I have so much respect for Dave Clawson. I think he's one of the best coaches in the country. He was my number 2 pick for Georgia Tech coach, only just behind Reba McEntire.
Yeah, for sure.
But Reba McEntire would be my dream hire for Tech, but Clawson was definitely my number 2. I have huge amounts of respect for him, and so he did make some adjustments and was able to come back. But I think what really killed him was obviously the turnovers and the inexperience at quarterback. It was one of the biggest detriments tonight.
Because I think their quarterback's younger, right?
Is he a
sophomore?
Yeah,
I think.
And you can tell this is his first year starting. You could tell.
And I think 2 other things happened. Leading into this game, a lot of Georgia Tech fans were really frustrated, and as well as Sea Dog and I were really frustrated. Yeah. A lot of people were like, man, is this kind of some of the same old where we just get our hearts broken? We're not able to win, pull out these wins in close games. But we had played 2 really tough opponents. Whereas Wake Forest, they're undefeated, but they hadn't played the type of opponents Georgia Tech did.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of saw today, an answer to that question of, is it that Georgia Tech's good and just has played tough teams? Is it that Wake's good? And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I started to say this earlier, but it was nice to see us. We came out, and instead of going the way of the Louisville, we came out still playing as hard as we can because we've been here before. We've learned from our mistake, and we put forth maximum effort rather than, than just kind of thinking we got this in the bag and we can cruise to an easy win, because these teams are good and they will come back on you and win. And it almost happened tonight, but like you said, I felt great about our defense, man. I felt great about the bend don't break, and we never gave up. We never really took our foot off the gas. We tried at all times really to win, and it feels good. This is where we should be. At week 4, I feel good about being 2-2, because it is a tough schedule. And
yeah,
I had us losing this game in the preseason. And I was saying I would feel really, really good if we were able to kind of go 1-1 in this tough couple-week road stretch against Ole Miss and Wake Forest, because we were obviously on the road last week in Oxford. And it feels good to go 1-1. Those are these are two tough teams. And
what?
I'm just laughing. They have Deion Sanders riding a buffalo on the screen. We got the other games on right here, but
well, look, in my preseason prediction, I like when I do a prediction to break the season into like 4 and 5 game little blocks.
Right.
And what do we need to do here?
Yeah.
And what I said is, in the first 4 games, I think to be where you want to be as far as making a bowl or better, you got to be 2-2.
Yeah.
Which we end up doing. Don't underplay how big of a victory this is for Georgia Tech to get back on track, to get back to playing 500 football. We get a win against Bowling Green next week. We're above 500
for the first time in how long? Since Paul Johnson.
Yeah,
since Paul Johnson. In 5 years, this will be the first time we've been over 500.
Yeah, it's huge. So we get, like I said, we get a win against Bowling Green. We get some confidence. We've learned, because every game teaches you something about your team. So like 441W's comment, where's the middle ground with this? Now we have that piece of information. And then who knows what happens against Miami. Miami's going to come in undefeated.
Their heads are going to be this big.
And who do they have after us?
North Carolina.
They've got North Carolina. So
who's also undefeated as far as I know. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see if they beat Pitt. What's going on, Traveling Fools? Good to see you in here. But yeah, I think ironing things out from here forward is you got to get it all together in one game. If you're going, I'm assuming we can beat a team like Bowling Green. But if you're going to go into Coral Gables and upset a team like Miami, you got to get a complete game of football under wraps, and you got to have it going on both sides of the football. So you can't have a third quarter where you just get blanked, or you can't come out of the half and just not be able to play offense. You got to play 4 quarters of football, right? How about that 48-yard field goal too? That was a lot. When was the last time we hit a 45?
Yeah, I didn't expect that. That was right down the middle. Freaking sank it. Yeah, North Carolina, by the way, 35-17 over Pitt.
So North Carolina will be undefeated.
They'll be undefeated. Well, depending on who they play next.
And guys, he could have hit that from 60. He absolutely drilled that 48-yard field goal. I mean,
Syracuse. They might lose to Syracuse. That's 2 undefeated teams.
Who?
North Carolina plays Syracuse next week.
Oh,
Miami's got the bye.
That's right.
But yeah, like you said, breaking the schedule into blocks. We had South Carolina State at home, and then 2 weeks later, Bowling Green's at home, and then so you had these 2 kind of weeks on the road. And I was saying, I was really hoping we could go 1-1, especially because we lost the Louisville game.
Yeah,
and I had us at 2-2, but I had us beating Louisville, losing to Wake Forest. So it does feel kind of good that we kind of made up for that loss against Louisville, at least in my eyes of what my preseason expectations were. And this team, look, has got a lot in front of us, and we can win 6 or 7 games. I feel like we can win 6 comfortably with this game.
With the win to Wake.
Yeah.
Because now we're at 2 wins. Then you beat Bowling Green, gets you to 3. I think you can beat Virginia, as tough as things have been in Charlottesville. I think you can beat Boston College.
Yep.
That gets you to 5.
You need 1 upset.
Then you need to beat one of the following: Miami, North Carolina, Syracuse, Clemson, Georgia. I think we can get 1 upset out of 5 games and hold our own against Virginia and Boston College in these teams. So.
Virginia does scare me. I just don't see any way we lose to them. And Boston College is just putrid. So,
well, Virginia is the only team that might have committed more penalties than us this week. I mean, they were a little more costly for them.
I hate that, man. I honestly I was so enjoying not having penalties after years of Jeff Collins. The penalties were so devastating for so many years. I did enjoy the return of the turnovers. It was a roller coaster of a game tonight. A lot of surprises, really. A lot of surprises for me.
Well, let me just put it this way. If I would have just showed you the penalty stats, you don't know who won the game or who they belong to. And I said, one team's going to have 14 penalties for 142 yards, and one's going to have 2 penalties for 15 yards. I would have said, oh, man, Wake must have really been undisciplined tonight. There's no way. 14 penalties.
Right. No, you're right. You're right.
So, yeah, it is, weird how things go. And then if you said one team had 5 turnovers, it's kind of hard to have 5 turnovers in a night. I mean, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. How did we get – I mean, I will say we regressed on the penalties but kept the turnover prevention strong. I love it. I love it because, like I said, we've been punished with having to watch turnovers for the past, whatever years under Jeff Collins. No longer. And like I said, I feel like the penalties came mostly from the defense. I feel like the offense more like was what it was. And I feel like our offense was kind of more consistent with how they've been in the past. The first 3 games rather than
it still wasn't great. Yeah. Like I still wouldn't call them consistent, but relative to the first 3 games, we're really talking about 2 of those.
Yeah, they were less surprising than what we saw on defense. Defense was really Jekyll and Hyde as far as the good and the bad, but it made it interesting. It sure did.
So 4-4-W coming with the heat. 4-4-1-W coming with the heat tonight. Tonight's comeback was because we kept them in the game with penalties and poor execution and long yardage situations. Those really went together, too. We were in long yardage situations because of penalties.
Yeah.
Louisville just came into the second half and out-executed us, and that's also 100% true.
No, if you point to one thing this game that it was the by far and away, because if you take away the penalties, this game's a huge freaking blowout.
Yeah.
I mean, this game is an insane blowout. Now, I will say not really a blowout because I take that back because our offense underperforms. Like they are so disappointing in the third quarter.
No, I don't think you're wrong, though, because
in the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, the penalties put our offense in really bad situations.
Yeah, that's true.
That got them off of time. Now, something else that I haven't, because so much went on in this game, I haven't really thought about is something Philly Jacket says. They also tackled better in the second half tonight than they did against Louisville. Yeah. I can't think of many just bad missed tackles.
Yeah, no, I can't.
We might have had like 2 or 3
in the beginning.
But no, I mean, for the most part,
which has been egregious. The defense as a whole, like we said, played a lot more aggressive, played a lot better, but just sloppy. So, but the offense, they come out of the half sputtering in the third quarter. It's a weird thing to see, and then slowly into the fourth quarter, and they only get really geared up towards the end of the game.
Yeah, they make a push in the final 6 minutes.
And the game's like crazy. This happened against Ole Miss. I mean, everybody tends to think of the Ole Miss as a blowout, but that was really close in the end. And like you said, we came out flat in the third quarter in Ole Miss, and then really turned it up in the fourth when it was crunch time. And it's like I would just love to see. I know we're capable of it. It's not like the third quarter is some kind of magical preventing us from scoring. It's a mental thing, I feel like.
Well, I'll tell you what I think it is.
Or maybe it's adjustments.
I think it's adjustments, and specifically, I think teams in the first half of ball games, and I'll rewatch this game, play a lot more zone coverage on us. In the second half, after they've been gassed, I feel like they say we're going to bring pressure and play man. And we have not done good running or throwing against man because, one, they're going to be blitzing a lot, and then we just haven't been winning man-on-man matchups in the second half as well as we need to.
Right. And then by the fourth quarter, we're kind of adjusting to that, it feels like, and we're able to, and then plus it's crunch time, so we're putting forth our best effort at the time. So I don't know. It's a lot of things to, definitely a roller coaster. This team freaking gives me heart attacks, man. I'd really love to just dominate a team for once. Like, we're capable of it,
Yeah.
But also at the same time, like, we haven't been playing slouch competition. Like,
No. And Wake is a
Wake
good
is
team.
no exception. They were undefeated coming into this game. I mean, it's not like, there's some crappy ACC team. They'll win 7, 8 games or more. They're a good team. If I had to guess, without looking at their schedule, I'd say they win in the 6 to 8 games range. So,
well, and they'll sneak up on someone too.
yeah,
I don't know who they play. If they play Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, it would not surprise me if all of those teams are on their schedule. They sneak up on one of them.
I just can't believe it. I just can't believe. Like, it's shocking to me. Like the Jackets come in and like beat a good opponent like that
and nearly double them up.
Yeah.
Points wise.
Which don't be fooled. That score, kind of like the Ole Miss game, that score is not indicative of how close it was.
No, but I mean that score is solely because of a clutch interception in the final 2 minutes of that game.
That game about went into overtime. It was a sea hair away from going into overtime. So
yeah.
No, I mean, but like you said, it's just it's crazy to me. Obviously, all of Wake Forest came into this game undefeated, thinking they were just gonna take down Tech in their own home.
Yeah.
And it was going to be no problem. So the fact that we finally came through and upset the team like we've been talking about, like, it feels really, really good. It just feels so good. And there's more of this to come. I just know it. I know it.
Yeah, we're a good team. And just to put some perspective into the improvement on the defense, did we have a sack last week?
No, not
all
one.
Right.
We have one against an FCS opponent.
So we had one sack coming into this game. We had 8 tonight.
8? Are you kidding me? 8 is insane.
We had 3 tackles for loss last week. Tonight we had 10.
Wow. We were like last in the country in those type of stats.
Yeah.
And we were last in the country of penalties too.
I guess Marco Coleman got tired of some stuff.
Well, like you said, I think they were coaching to be more aggressive and, but I also think that probably their O-line and quarterback not as good as I do think that, I don't think they're magically way better of a unit than they were last week, but I do think that I do think that has something to do with it because I don't feel like the Wake,
Yeah, I do think that some of their stats and stuff were inflated. Like they had 2 pass rushers that were leading the country in sacks. They didn't have a single sack tonight.
Yeah, no, not one. Wow. Can you just like the combination of our offensive line and Haynes King? I can't say enough about. No sacks, and no freaking turnovers on our offense is crazy.
Well, we had turnovers on offense, but
we
threw a pick.
That's true. Turnovers,
and we had turnover on downs, but
that's true. Well, turnover on downs is a little different. I would consider than like I'm talking about turnovers you do yourself, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay. However, we're still great. Like the turnover margin is really nice.
Yeah. I mean, getting 5 turnovers, like I'll say this, if we can continue this defensive play and keep progressing on offense and work toward playing a 4 quarters of offense, some special things could happen for this Georgia Tech team.
God.
I mean, that would really open up.
Oh, my God. The bones are there for this team. The bones are there.
The bones.
The bones of an amazing team are there. And I will say, I got a little hyped in the offseason. Maybe I thought we would be a little further along than we are. But we're really coming into it, I feel like. We've come a long way even since week 1. And
oh, yeah.
And we're just –
well, here's the thing. I think we're learning from these games, right? It's not each game has been a little bit different. It's been a little bit better. And then tonight we're able to put some things together, and beat a quality opponent.
Yeah, I think I wonder if they ask them this. You think that Louisville game was in the back of their minds when they come out of halftime? We were talking about this. What do you think the halftime speech was? We are not done.
Yeah.
We are still in this game. We do not have a lead that is to be slept on. We're going to come out and put our foot on their throats. And we didn't, but we tried to. So,
well, it wouldn't surprise me if they directly referenced it, because what I would say is, you remember how that Louisville loss felt?
Yeah.
If you don't want to feel that way again, get your asses in gear and let's go play a half of football.
Yeah. And the defense did. Which is surprising, man. Never thought. I mean, I really was really nervous. I was nervous.
If someone would have tried to bet me that our defense would really outplay our offense, I would have lost every bit of money I will ever make.
Me too, dude. Me too.
But I love being surprised.
I do too.
Like that, I do.
I do too, because I mean, yeah, it was unrecognizable. So another thing that just popped into my head that has been consistent all year is these like weird little injuries that we get.
Yeah, I think we do need to talk about that.
What's up with that? Like it didn't happen more towards the end of the game. It seemed like it happened a lot in the first half on defense, particularly like on the D line.
Yeah.
I wonder if that has something to do kind of with, because the D line is a complete enigma this year. And throughout the first 4 games, we've had these little injuries on D line. They're slow to get up. One guy had like a cramp earlier, and and then they seem to be okay. Yonjwin, of course, actually had a really serious one, but it's just a weird thing that I've noticed. It calmed down in the second half, though.
It seems like at times every third play, someone's having to come off the field and they're limping, and it's just like, man, what is
going on? Yeah. But it disappeared. Now that I'm thinking about it, it disappeared in the second half.
Yeah.
Like we didn't have any, I don't think, injuries in the second half that I can remember.
No, I don't think so.
But it's happened. It's happened like in every game. It's a weird thing, man. I don't know.
And I don't know what to accredit that to. I don't know if that's a strength and conditioning issue. I don't know if that.
Now, we didn't see Lamiles Brooks at all, did we, tonight?
I thought he was in.
I don't remember seeing him at all. I remember Jalen King and Clayton Powell-Lee in there.
He had a tackle.
He did? Mm-hmm. Just one? What's up with that? He's supposed to be the starter. I think he's hurt.
He has 1 total tackle, 1 solo tackle, 1 tackle for. So
because to start the year, Lamiles Brooks started with one of the safety positions, and then the other was Jalen King and Clayton Powell-Lee switching out. Yeah. So for Lamiles to only have 1 tackle, that tells me he's hurt. Yeah,
I mean, why else would he not be on the field every down?
The entire game, I was seeing CPL and Jalen King, so that's concerning. I think he's gone for good. Oh, look, we got a field rushing here.
Where?
Washington. Look how cool those uniforms are, the Washington State uniforms. They just beat Oregon State in a nail biter, it looks like.
A little bit of a
shootout.
Look
how cool those uniforms are, dude. I love that gray. I love that gray, dude. Anyway.
That looks good. Now, GT on top says, if you watch the Louisville game, I'm assuming you mean today, or maybe not. If you watch the Louisville game, you would say that the O-line and D-line were horrible. If you watch the game, I'm assuming you mean today, you could argue they are our backbone. It did feel like that.
We still didn't have any sacks in the Louisville game, though, did we? Maybe one
I think we had one.
One. So
no, we didn't, because we've only had one coming into this game, and that was against South Carolina State.
Yeah. We got sacked against South Carolina State?
Oh, you mean giving up a sack?
Yeah.
I think we took a sack against
one sack even still is great. I mean,
but there was a lot of pressures they had.
Right, that's true. But then Haynes King would get him with his legs, so it's like, no, I've been impressed with the O-line. I wouldn't say the O-line was. I've been impressed with them from the beginning. Especially Jordan Williams went down. I didn't notice him come back in or not.
Yeah, we'll have to get some injury updates.
But look, even without him, we've still been playing good because like he's gone down, I think, in the Ole Miss and Louisville game towards the beginning too. And even without him, like the O-line has been playing good. I really they've been playing way better than I would have guessed. So I'm happy with the O-line play. I always have been. It was the D-line that I've been ragging on hard enough, but I think they played a really good game.
Yeah.
Too. So.
I'd agree with that. Now, kind of looking ahead, when I did the preseason, I looked at the next 5 block games. Yeah. So that's Bowling Green, Miami, Boston College, North Carolina, Virginia. And I think you got to go 3-2 there. You got to pick up 3 wins there. I think you can beat Bowling Green, Boston College, and Virginia.
Yeah.
That gets you to 5 wins.
Yeah.
And then between Clemson, Syracuse, Georgia, you got to beat Syracuse.
Yeah.
You got to beat one of those 3.
Syracuse,
that would get you to 6.
Syracuse scares me, honestly.
Yeah.
They look like a legitimately good team. We'll see. I mean, they're going against undefeated, but 2 undefeateds next week, North Carolina and Syracuse. One of them's got to lose. So I'm very curious to see that game. I'm very curious to see that. But, yeah, we got a tough road ahead.
Yes.
It's by no means over, but I'm excited.
4418 says, I wonder if there is any or if there's something to this S&C concerns. A USF fan said they were not happy with AJ Artis during his time as a strength and conditioning coach there because he felt like a lot of guys got hurt through the season.
I said that the other day.
Yeah, that's
I remember. I know exactly what he's talking about. I remember when we hired him, and I heard somebody say that.
From people inside the program that I've talked to, it seems like everyone's been super impressed with AJ Artis.
Well, when you go from Lou Caralla to AJ Artis, it might seem like a good upgrade. But yeah, that might be because that's the only thing you chalk it up to. Injuries is strength and conditioning, so maybe he's got him, maybe he's better than Lou, but he's still got his shortcomings. So you got to but for some reason it seems awfully concentrated towards the D line. We've had some injuries on offense, but they're more permanent.
Well, it seems to be on the line of scrimmage, period.
Yeah. We've had more long-term. We've had Jordan Williams go down, but that's the only O lineman that's gone down that I can recall.
I feel like we've had some
It's like consistent with him, right? I can't think of any more O linemen that have been hurt.
Well, but I'm just saying that had to come off for a play or two.
Yeah. Well, those aren't such a big deal if you can bounce back from it. But we have had some unfortunate guys go down that are longer term. Like Chase Lane, he was on emergency only tonight.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that he can play if needed, but
yeah, but they're resting him. What do you think about what Philly Jacket said? Why did King not pull it more and earlier?
I did notice that too. Yeah, he didn't run a lot at all. I don't know. He sure did though at the end there.
Yeah,
when he decided to.
He ripped it out of Jamal Haynes' hands. Jamal did not want to give that ball up.
He didn't. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna pull it for once." And Jamal's like, "What?"
Dude, I'm taking this ball.
He trips over himself. He's so confused. He's like convinced he's gonna get it. I don't know. I mean, from what I've seen from Haynes King so far this year, he has been incredible with the reads. So it is an odd thing to kind of look at, but I don't know. I trust him. I mean, he really didn't have his best game this week.
No,
to think of it. I mean, if you think about it, we only put up. I guess we put up 30. It about was just 23, but I don't know.
Ohio State pulls off the win. I picked Ohio State.
Really, I did
16-14.
That game's over. Damn.
In South Bend,
I missed the entire thing, dude.
I'm sorry. We did kind of a long post. And the last thing I have to say, huge shout out to true freshman left tackle, blindside tackle, McKinney.
Yeah.
Ethan McKinney, dude.
Yeah.
To be 18 or 19 years old, playing the blindside tackle, not giving up a sack.
That's the hardest position to come from college and get. The hardest.
Yeah.
And play well at offensive line. And Corey Robinson was playing, it was not good.
And
he had like a pass blocking grade of 0. That he was the one that gave up that big sack against Haynes King in the Louisville game where he fumbled it. We were about to score and pretty much cost us the game. We were down 5. A score would have won the game. Basically, they would have got the ball back, but it was like in the last few minutes of the game. You remember that? And he gave up. It was a complete blindside block, and Ethan McKinney wouldn't have given that up. Just
probably not.
So shout out to him for sure. Those guys are underappreciated for sure.
All right, last comment we'll look at. 441. Does Haynes King not being planted on his back foot when he releases the ball on several passes concern you at all? Well, it hadn't bit him, and I'd have to go back and watch the game. I mean, it is concerning when your footwork's a little bit sloppy, but I would have to look at why is he not planted well? Is it because there's pressure, or is it because of bad habits? It seems to me more that those are a situation where he's getting pressured. Which also shout out to the offensive line. Haynes King was not under much pressure tonight.
No. Yeah, no sacks. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. I can't believe how far along they've came, and usually that takes years and years to get fixed. But I can only imagine how much we're going to improve over the years with recruiting and stuff. And this stuff, look, we're going to, if we continue this, our recruiting is only going to get better and better, and we're building something really nice here with what we can do.
I just saw good call. Kyle Kennard tonight.
Yeah.
4 sacks by himself.
Wow.
Had half the sacks tonight. Yeah, I can't believe I missed that. Huge shout out to Kyle Kennard.
Yeah.
Quadrupling our sack total by himself tonight.
Yes. So, yeah, shout out to him. Good job. And we, 4 sacks. Yeah, that's half of them that we had. So
tonight, and 4 times as many as we had coming into this game.
Yeah. So very cool. You love to see it.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
Well, guys, I appreciate y'all coming in. Big win for Georgia Tech. Gets us back on track, to do good things this season. Look, Georgia Tech's a good football team. Not a lot of people outside the Georgia Tech fan base are going to think that.
Yeah.
But we are.
We're definitely under the radar here. Miami's totally going to overlook us.
Yeah, I hope so. Totally. I need them to.
It might not matter, but because they look really good, but we might be the best team they face. I don't know about Texas A&M.
I don't think Texas A&M runs us off the field though. So
I don't either.
It'll be interesting to see. Well, guys, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Thanks for everyone for stopping in, everyone for watching our live stream. Yeah. We're going to keep bringing you Georgia Tech content. A lot of good things are going to happen this season. And y'all have a great night and a great weekend.